So let's move on to the next big bank in Africa, Ecobank. Thank you, Mr. Aithnard, to tell us a little bit about the success story of Ecobank and the opportunities that you see in the coming future.
Thank you, Lena. I would like to start by thanking as well Africa Investor for inviting us to this event. What is Ecobank? Ecobank is the Africa's largest bank when considering the footprint. We are present in 36 countries, and we do focus only on what we call Middle Africa. And we like to say that Middle Africa is basically the meat in the sandwich in Africa, because we believe that Africa is segregated in 3 different regions: North Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa, and then South Africa. So we focus only on that center, which is Middle Africa, where you are seeing the largest growth today in the continent. Ecobank is the only company listed on 3 stock exchanges in West Africa, i.e. in Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, and in Ghana. We have a balance sheet of over $20 billion US. Revenue base are close to $2.5 billion US. We do provide to the investors on a constant basis PBT close to $500 million US. Our 6-month PBT in 2015 was at $322 million US, up 22% against last year. Cost income ratio is close to 62% today. We still have some work to do there. And our target is to bring that cost income ratio close to the high 50s in the coming years. And the purpose clearly is to deliver return on equity around 25% to our investors. As of today, our return on equity is close to 18%. Why investing in Ecobank? We believe that investors should consider Ecobank for 3 main reasons, if I may say. The first one is that Ecobank is a pure play if someone believes into the transformation of the continent. We focus only on what we call Middle Africa, to repeat myself again. So if you want to play Africa and focus on where the growth is, Ecobank is certainly a pure play to consider. The second reason why investors should consider Ecobank is the diversification play. We are present in 36 countries, so we have that balanced portfolio, if you look at it from a portfolio manager perspective, where you know that if anything goes wrong in a specific country, you can still get some return on another country. And I want to highlight that case because it is very fundamental. What we have seen in the last 25 years in banking in Africa is that volatility that you can see in some market at some point. And it's always important to have that balanced portfolio to make sure that you can deliver a constant and a stable alpha to the investors. The third point, advocating for investing in Africa, is indeed Ecobank is a return play. We do deliver today a return on equity of 18%. We strongly believe that we're going to reach the 25%, which is our guidance, which is going to make us one of the best performing banking in the financial sector in Africa. One has to know indeed that the engine of the growth in the continent today is indeed the banking sector. So playing the largest bank with a stable return is indeed a good choice when considering Ecobank. What is the way forward? We believe in 2 stories. We have a clear vision about where we see the continent in the future. The first one is that we believe that there's a need for further integration. We do support strongly what is going on today, for example, in West Africa, where the 3 capital markets, the 3 stock exchanges are speaking together just to make sure that they can offer one single platform to the investors that want to invest into the continent. It is fundamental, in our opinion, to focus on that integration, especially on the capital markets. Within Ecobank, you have a securities firm, which is the only securities firm that is present on those 3 stock exchanges. So with close partnership with the stock exchanges, Oscar from Nigeria, Felix from BRVM in Cote d'Ivoire, we clearly want to support that initiative going forward in terms of further integration in the capital market. The second thing that we need to keep in mind as well, which is something that is very close to my heart, is indeed another story that is developing in Africa, which is what we call the African saver story. People talk about the African consumer story. We believe that beyond the African consumer story, there is a story which is the African saver story, where you have a middle class which is more and more having revenues and which are now looking for ways to invest those revenues. The latest figure that we have is, if you consider the asset under management today in Middle Africa, it is close to 60 billion US dollar, and our anticipation for 2025, basically in 10 years, is to see that number close to 600 billion US dollars. So this is a massive opportunity for portfolio managers to provide to that mass amount, and that's what you have seen in some other emerging markets, where you can begin to build a solid suite of asset management products to that class and also deliver pension products to them. So we strongly believe into that story as well, and I will encourage investors or pension funds or hedge funds that do not have Africa in their exposure to strongly consider that case. In the past, having Africa in your portfolio was considered as a risk. Today, not having Africa in your portfolio is a risk. So I'm going to stop there and take further questions later on. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much.
Doing business in Africa, you can't afford to be without Africa Investor.